Oui, merci. Ah, on est là. C'est l'heure pour les histoires. C'est bienvenue à la perspective académique. On est là, le milieu de la journée. On a le Magical et Kubi qui vient. Ils sont les casteurs les États-Unis. On va voir ce qu'ils vont faire. Mais on a des amis ici. Et aujourd'hui, si on peut les avoir, Kubi et Magical, qu'est-ce qui se passe? On va se dire les histoires. Donc, on va emmener Kubi et Magical. On va les emmener sur l'histoire. Et on va continuer et commencer à dire les histoires. Un jour. Mais s'ils sont pas là, on va juste commencer. Kubi, tu es l'écrivain d'histoire de Académie.
Ok.
Qu'est-ce que tu en penses de cette histoire? Tu dois nous dire ce que tu en penses, d'accord? On va commencer bientôt.
Are we drawing this time?
No, I think he wants us to tell a story.
Les histoires, mes amis, les histoires! Mais qu'est-ce qui se passe?
List a story?
Vas-y, je vais juste annoncer, je vais juste continuer. Kubi, tu vas dire l'histoire du Dignitas.
Oh, Dig, ok.
On avait un match.
Story time with Dig.
On avait un match, on va dire l'histoire du Dignitas, d'accord? D'accord, on va commencer là.
Okay. Well, I think for Dignitas, things in that last game, we talked about XU being the catalyst. And I think the thing started with XU in this bot lane is he was able to sneak in this lane not once, but twice to turn things onto what Immortals wanted to do with Arrow. I really hope that our leader is helping us, pick everything up here. As I'm hoping that there's no language barriers, but so we're just going to keep on going.
Je sais pas, ça va, c'est XU, ça va bien.
Okay,
ça
XU.
Va bien.
All right, we're good. And this continues as speaking of junglers, IMT, bit of an overextension as Chad already down to the wayside. They went for a fight without Cataclysm, without flashes. A lot of cooldowns were down. Ended up getting routed in the side of Dignitas' jungle as big time plays coming out from the side of Dig in this point of the game, and that ended up leading to a Baron. Immortals did pick off 2 members of Dignitas here, but things were all fine and dandy as it's got to be a happy Diggy emote. I know that they've been using a lot of the Dig emotes, turning their little, they got a mascot now called Diggy. Ooh. It's been pretty fun, yeah. I feel like it's like Diggy Pog, Happy Diggy, wide Diggy Happy, something like that. I don't know. I don't know if these things, I'm trying to speak in art forms, as emotes are art.
Tu m'as dit que tu étais le storyteller, le créateur d'histoire. Ben, c'était quoi, Kubi? C'était XU. I
don't think he's happy with you.
Magical. D'accord, on va continuer là. Toi.
Okay, my turn?
S'il te plaît.
Okay.
Tu dois dire l'histoire de les Immortals.
Okay, so
d'accord?
You want me to tell the story of Dignitas?
On y va.
I think... No.
Non, les Immortals! Les Immortals!
Mortals? Immortal? Or is that Immortals?
Immortals or Immortal?
I see, that's why I'm trying to figure this out. I'm hoping he means Immortals, but I also don't understand French. So let me try this. Let me see if we can get this. As we can see, there once was a play in bot lane where 2 members of Dignitas were slain because they overextended, and Chad, he defended both Joey and Arrow this day.
D'accord, le Chad.
I see. I'm just trying to see if I can get a limerick. I'm trying to be Josh here.
Chad's Chad is where we're going. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got this next play. Okay. I see. Look, I don't know if I can continue to do. I don't know if I can continue to do limericks, but I can try.
Vas-y, on a l'histoire.
I gotta keep going. Don't worry. So we look at this play in mid lane, and you can see that it's a start off for the side of Dignitas where they put down the Rift Herald, and they're able to actually get the crash there, which was nice. But the big thing for this was that Chad was able to at least show up and really make it so that this was a little bit more even. the only thing that I recall from this play was the fact that eventually Eclipse showed up and ruined their day and just chased them down.
He did it
So,
again.
L'Eclipse de
in a
la
hole.
Lune.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a bit rough for the side of Immortals there. And here, oh god, this is where just things were completely out of control.
You know what? It was a Hail Mary.
It was a Hail Mary. It was. It's. I mean, the biggest thing here is you can see from the screen. Again, I can't do the limericks again. I can only do it once. I tried.
Immortals were wary, so they went for the Hail Mary.
Oh yeah. Hey, that was good. That was good.
C'est la rédemption de Kubi. Voilà.
But it's my turn to tell the story here. Come on. It's so here, really what it is the fact that Concept is dead, their meatball is gone, and Dignitas are just going to run over Immortals because Immortals, even though they attempted the play, just didn't have any frontline to really back them up. And JJ, XU, they're able to really catch out these backliners and allow Eclipse to then TP in and win the game.
D'accord, bien fait, c'était bien Magical, merci.
He knows he won.
Le Tchad,
Yeah.
le Tchad. Et Kubi, on te donne un tout petit peu de quelque chose parce que tu as dit le truc en le deuxième. Donc merci, mes amis. L'histoire, c'était pas bien dit. Je dois aller quelque part et essayer de convenir ça parce que il doit être les meilleures histoires de dire. Donc,
Okay.
au revoir.
Okay, I know what that means.
revoir.
Bye. Bye,
au
Frenchman.
It just
Bye-bye.
ended like that?
I only know au revoir. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
Yeah, I know that academy is a phrase that's used a bit more over in Europe. But I didn't realize that we were trying to be more like the LFL. I know that like we saw their viewership numbers and wanted to get up there. I didn't realize that meant importing someone that's actually French. And trying to.
Oh, did you not get the message?
I did not. No.
Oh.
The whole native language broadcast thing. I'm trying to stay in the pocket here.
Well, see, this is where you need to learn Spanish. Oh no, we actually have Ron for Spanish. Portuguese. You got to get Portuguese because I got some German for us, which is good. We got the Frenchman for France. We got Rafa for Spanish. We just need Portuguese now. I
know my cheeses. I don't know. I speak Midwest. Something like that.
Midwest has got like some Norwegian, right?
I got a Norwegian background.
Yeah, there we go. We can get you to speak some Norwegian.
You wouldn't believe it with my stature, but
all right, well, we'll have to see when I actually meet you in person one day. But moving on ahead, we got to get into what's actually up in front of us, right? Dignitas taking game one was a great game from them. Only a couple of hiccups here and there, but Immortals, we just need to see how they're going to be able to bounce back. So when we get Lennon back here, we get Mazel back into this to kind of help us walk through what we want to see. And I'm just a little worried for Immortals. This is now 5 games in a row they have lost.
Yeah, I think that for Immortals, like talking with Joey, of course, Joey said, they're working on things. The 0-4 helped bring them some more focus as we welcome back Mazel.
Hi.
I think that for the side of Immortals that game, I saw more direction from them. I think the way that Chad was playing around the bot lane was good. I just think it's a one-dimensional game plan, and they need to change things up. They need to be able to make sure they have more strategies, because in the end, XU kind of read them like a book as time went on.
I think the biggest thing, just to hop in here, like, you've got to see a complete turnaround in like the big macro decision making, right? It felt like there was a lot of push and pull across the map, but it ended up being, just a completely one-sided endeavor in that way. And not being able to get the outer structures early on for IMT, not being able to find any of that like early success, even if we're putting a lot of focus on the junglers, it just didn't come to fruition.
Well, I think also, Cubby, you had talked about this before the game had even started. We want to see how Chad and Pretty were going to play together and how they were going to play around Arrow especially. And some of the fights you could see how Arrow's positioning was critical for the team, but we didn't see that early enough to really get them in that position to be able to lord that control and have that snowball that they translate to the Aphelios.
We did see attempts, but XU broke it twice. The 2 lane ganks were huge on the side of Dignitas, and I think that's what really enabled them to make sure that they weren't going to get really far behind, get stat checked by the Scion, and keep on going from there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, drafts is going to be super important for the Immortals going into game number 2, and I do hear we are ready for that draft. So, fellas, take it away.
Thank you so much, Mazel. It was also nice having the Frenchman here briefly for that. Hopefully, we'll be able to get him back later on today for now, we got to get ready for our second game in our second series here. And I'm curious to see what changes in the draft for Immortals. They banned away Twisted Fate, Gwen, and Zeri in that last time. And the fact that, Zeri's this new champion, but we expect her to be incredibly powerful that a lot of players probably want to play. I don't expect to see her let through. I'm just curious what Immortals then banned in order to really make it more difficult for the side of Dignitas, since we saw Exu on his Lee Sin, and we already know how good Exu is on that champion.
I think that the blind Scions, when Aatrox has been getting let up, I know that Concept played that matchup pretty well, but when you have a team that wants to jump into another, and you're going to pick Scion and just allow the Aatrox that free matchup, Eclipse didn't even have a fantastic laning phase. He used that first TP to go bot. He was even at best throughout the lane, but Aatrox is a pick that as time goes on, if you have to jump into the enemy team, it's really difficult to do that against an Aatrox. And LeBlanc, Aphelios, that's not enough damage to really burst Aatrox out. I think that Eclipse had no magic resist that entire game, and Pretty was not able to chunk him out enough with arrows. So I think that maybe switching up the second phase, I think the opener that IMT had was fine. And at the moment, going through draft, it looks pretty similar.
Pretty much seeing the salty run back. We saw it in our last series, and we're seeing it in this series as well. To truly go for that, Caitlyn would have to be picked here by Spawn, and honestly, I expect that to be the case. I don't expect that to let that go over to the other side. Spawn looked really good on that champion, and even the Nautilus for JJ. You kind of wanted to see how that was going to play out with Nautilus and Caitlyn as opposed to Lux and Caitlyn, but it worked out really well for Dignitas.
Yeah, I think that JJ's Nautilus, I know that he's played it in 7 out of his 9 games now with Dignitas, but I thought it was really nice that game, just the way that he was holding chokes, and I think that the way that Immortals managed those fights and all the displacement that Dignitas had really caught them off guard. And I'm curious to see if they try and deny some of that displacement, as it seems like it's going to be a similar opener. I would expect the Lee Sin and Nautilus to come here, or through again here for Dignitas. As I said, I expect the changes to be in the next phase going into draft, but I think that this setup, all the displacement against Aphelios when you are running a 2-threat comp, and it is a Caitlyn bot, does make life hard for the side of Immortals.
Well, I almost wonder if maybe they want to change up something on the side of Immortals for this part of the draft, not actually waiting until the next one.
Yeah.
The Braum would be a good one. That's actually kind of something that I was thinking, that or the Thresh. Something like that to change it up. But there it is. Victor instead. They just grab that, not letting that get banned in the second part by Dignitas.
Pretty's Victor is 3-0 so far, as it was played all of week 1. Getting the hands on at this game. Going to ban out a couple counters. I like the Akali as it connects with top lane as well. And we're going to have to see what Darkwings ends up answering with, as the Azir, not a good matchup into Victor. Orianna could be an option, but isn't any great ball carriers, and you can get attacked by Jarvan. Syndra could be another that I would not be surprised if it gets banned out here by the side of Immortals. So this is where the run back stops, where Immortals has to find some different things to put together. And I will say that this is going to be a bit of a hit to the side of Joey's champ pool. I expect Braum to be banned out here, most likely, if I am the side of Dignitas.
That's what I would expect, but instead, it's Thresh. So the Braum pick is what I'd expect right here from Joey, just to make sure that they can have a little bit of that disengage for their side, make it a little bit more difficult for XU, but instead, they continue to have this Leona paired up with Aphelios.
At least this time around, Concept, we don't expect Concept to be, playing any huge carries, but it does give Concept counter picks, so he can try and get a bit of a different matchup in the top side. And if Eclipse does blind Aatrox here, that could be bad for the side of IMT. And Victor does deal very well with that champion.
Oh.
Still going to be the Azir, interestingly enough, for Darkwings. This is not a great matchup for Azir. You get heavily outranged. You really have to use your Shurima Shuffle intelligently, but Darkwings, as we mentioned previously, very comfortable on this champion, and going to stick to comfort as we go into this draft.
Now, I'm just curious to see what is picked up here by Eclipse. The blind
Blue side Gragas, baby.
Makes a lot of sense here.
I love Blue side.
Also has a very unique champion pool. And the reason I bring this up is I'm wondering if Urgot or Singed are going to be what Concept actually wants to go for. We've seen the Urgot banned, but we haven't actually gotten to see that played in this split so far by Concept. It is one of those champions that he likes to pull out of nowhere and try to see how he's going to be able to pilot that one. And I already highlighted the Singed already. This is one of his favorite champions, going all the way back to when he first started this game.
I like the Singe this game because you can try and use that ground to stop the Azir. I think that's going to be the big game plan here for Immortals, and you get the free lane into the Gragas. Now, I will say that for Eclipse, I love blue side Gragas. He has no terrible lane matchups, and the displacement into both Victor and Aphelios can be used very well, especially when combined with all the displacement that Dignitas already has. Gragas, Lee Sin, Azir, they can move someone over 1,000 units if they really want to. And that's something that Immortals is going to have to be really careful with navigating when you have this humongous backline in Victor and Aphelios that do all the damage in the world that you could need, but are not mobile. So I want to see if Immortals can defend against Dignitas' attack.
Well, the only way you can really defend is if you aggress as well when you have a Jarvan and a Singed running at you into the backline.
I like the Singed.
See, I like the Singed. The Jarvan's going to be interesting to see how it's going to work with the rest of the team, since you hit the nail on the head again. You always do, Cubby. The fact that there's a lot of mobility on the side of Immortals with that Victor and Aphelios.
And also for the Singed, this is an old counter when you combine this with Jarvan. That Cataclysm plus the ground. Anyone that's stuck in that Cataclysm will die. And I really want to look out to see if Concept and Chad can sync up and do that combo, because that could be extremely deadly for the side of Dignitas. What I also like about the Singed is that Dignitas, you have Gragas, Azir, both magic damage side laners, and two people that really don't, or two champions, I should say, that don't side lane that well. Singed does, if Singed is able to get ahead. So this does give Immortals that backdoor win condition, try and win through the side lane, something that we don't really see from them, as Concept's tank pool primarily leads to 4-1 play, but I want to see how they can use the 1-3-1.
Let's reload up onto the Rift for Game 2, Series 2. Dignitas have grouped up. They tend to do this in Game 2s. Every single one we've seen out of them, this split so far, they always try to make this level 1 play happen, whether that be top lane, whether that be towards the spot lane. The teams are starting to scout that out a little bit better and not actually play up at all, allowing themselves to get caught out by such an aggressive team like Dignitas.
And when it comes to Dignitas and this early season, as I mentioned before Game 1, what I really like about this team is that they pull the trigger together. When they make plays, it is team plays. And for better or for worse, they're going in and making things happen. And I think that that's something that we haven't seen out of Immortals in like past Week 1. Week 1, they got big leads. They were able to cash them in. The past 5 games we see from them and why they're 0-5, they aren't making plays together past the 15-minute mark. So let's see if Immortals can work on that team fighting. And if maybe the stabilizing Azir that put a lot of priority in getting for himself for the draft, maybe this is the piece that Immortals needs to make sure they play out these team fights a little bit more together.
This is where I like that you had highlighted the displacement capabilities of Dignitas. Explosive Cask, Kick from XU, Emperor's Divide, all of these can be tools that they can utilize to catch out someone like Pretty. Doesn't matter if you have something comfortable, like this Victor that you played successfully in Week 1, when you're getting caught out and you're not able to actually do anything in these fights. As we look for an early gank, a nice flash from Darkwings, but getting that early on from Chad, that is now a lane that he can consistently, repeatedly gank.
So not only priority in draft, but also priority in the game. We are setting things up for Pretty's Victor to be sitting pretty. As that flag and drag, level 2, Chinese J4 gank. Pretty, I don't know what he said to Chad beforehand to deserve that. You know, maybe some team love, working on some of that chemistry. It's like,
that already said, gank my damn lane over and over again.
I need you in my lane right now.
No, not right now, all the time. You are setting up a tent here, and you are not leaving.
It is important, though, for the side of IMT, they got that. That's really the only first 2 levels is when you can attack Azir like that as a jungler. And the fact that Chad does trade flash for flash, that's well worth it for the side of Immortals. Let's see if Pretty can cash in that lead that he was just granted by his jungler.
As we get back out of our pause, see spawn at JJ in the bot lane, getting that priority like they had in the previous game over Arrow and Joey. Gonna just keep themselves far forward. Nice hook, gonna be able to land. Joey goes back in as well. Trade of damage, blow for blow from the supports. Nothing's gonna stick for too long though.
And let's see if XU goes something aggressive in this bot lane, as this is a 3-wave crash for the side of Dignitas. Chad cycling back to try and get this top crab. And Concept, the dirty farming has begun.
This is why I love Singed. The proxy farming you can do, especially against something like Gragas. Because we have seen Gragas really cropping his head up time and time again in this top lane.
Gragas, man.
It's a good pick, but it's not like he does much. He's a neutralizing factor. And Singed loves that. He's like, you're not going to be able to fight me, so I'm just going to take all the minions from you.
I do want to highlight Chad snuck into this brush with the EQ. Now has that back. Keep in mind, Darkwings does not have flash. See if Immortals can make this work. Pretty's hugging the left side of the lane, bluffing that Chad is taking that top crab, trying to get Darkwings to hover down, but Darkwings holding strong. Very intelligent read out of the young mid laner Dignitas.
Look at that ping of the as well from the side of Dignitas. They pinged that there was a possibility Chad was actually on the bottom half of the map. They read that textbook. It was beautiful to see Darkwing just not play up at all, and now XU is going to be the one looking to see if they can get something out of Pretty.
On the flip side, we see Concept. As part of the perks of dirty farming, you can base and not miss anything, as Concept was able to get to the wave crash in the top side. And this Singed, I know we aren't supposed to be biased casters, Mad Magical. I feel like you're a bit biased towards the Singed. I must stop my point.
Of course I am.
Because JJ going for the dredge line does not connect. XU actually delaying his base quite a bit. Concept has a scout on the Gromp, so knows that this has respawned and XU is not here yet. Might tip Immortals bot lane off to play a little bit more cautious as XU delayed his reset for no reward on that side of the map. And Concept still getting all that dirty farm you can as Singed.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's like, yeah, you know what? Shouldn't be biased, but I'll always be biased to players that can play Singed or play toxic things like that. It's always fun to watch, to treat. But poor Eclipse, pretty much like, why can't I do anything in this lane? Where are my minions? Please, somebody help me.
And that delay, that's a big reward for Concept, as he was actually able to take the crab for himself off screen. So he's getting a ton of information on XU as they see where he is at his second clear. And Chad now knows that this bot lane play, it is not spotted. Now, what he doesn't know is that XU did trade out some of the trinkets, and so Chad will now be spotted on the Gromp. But overall, kind of an interesting back and forth between both of these junglers. I know we had a big focus on them in the early game, and given all the scouting that XU and Concepts have been able to do respectively, it's a lot of information for both teams to play with here early.
It's information. That's all this game is. It's about espionage for the two squads, trying to see what they can get on the other. What kind of dirt they can scourge out of any information from these boards, placing them down as deep as possible.
Because
I doubt we're actually going to see anything unless you can get something like this, where Pretty doesn't have that much mana. Emperor's Divide right to XU as well for first blood.
The scoop and score into XU, as all calculated from the side of Darkwings, and Pretty, he flashed for naught, so that flash is wasted. Meanwhile, top lane, we saw Concept burn that ultimate against Eclipse. As Eclipse, he could have ult Concept into the turret. Ooh.
He could. I was surprised he didn't there, but going back to that mid lane play, it was a nice read there from Darkwings, getting that flash out of Pretty, the scoop and drag right into XU for the freest kill of his life, where he's like, oh, hey, thanks for feeding me some more. And then we know how XU is on Lee Sin when he gets fed.
I think it just really highlights the teamwork that we've been seeing from Dig in the early season. That's something that JJ kind of spoke towards. You know, having 3 new players, he's like, you know what, this really is kind of refreshing to my view as the game, as everyone on the team views things differently. And something that both he talked about when I talked with him before the games today, and then XU yesterday on the podcast, they love the team vibe. And it's like, all we do is talk about League. We aren't burned out yet. We're having a blast doing this as a team. We're going to have to see if that can continue as Dignitas. He found him.
Chad's got to be careful. Okay. He still wants to be able to get that dragon. Now they know that he's right behind them. So instead of actually aggressing further, they're going to let Arrow escape.
I like Dignitas showing some respect there, as Darkwings wasn't able to join, fixing that mid-wave, but also Darkwings no flash. Okay.
Oh, Eclipse. He's like, I'm going to find Singe. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. And then he just blast goes right over him. And it's like, yoink. I got everything from you. I flipped you back into the minion so I can get a good trade with the poison. Even though Eclipse does have that explosive cask available, it's not like he can still do much to Singed.
He's got to be careful. If he is able to knock Concept into the tower while he's poisoned, might be a chance to trade out a kill. but Eclipse hasn't found it yet. As we see the blue buff being handed over to Dark Wings, and now all of our eyes, Man Magical, must go on the Rift Herald. Something I really like about Singed in the current meta is that top lane priority, pretty important when it comes to taking Rift. That's something that Singed can secure if he is on his own. That said, when people rotate towards the Singed, it is very easy to attack him. It's exactly what Dignitas is doing here, as they're bringing their bot lane to assist. And IMT is late on the rotation. This should be the free Rift Herald going over to the Dignitas.
There was a control ward that had been placed down by Concept and cleared out by XU. Shouldn't actually be a fight, especially with all 5 members of Dignitas rotating up here to secure the Eye of the Rift Herald, but Concept went inside of the pit. He doesn't have Flash. He's got Ghost and Insanity Potion. Flips over JJ, taking a lot of damage, but he's going to be able to skirt right back towards his team, surfing through everybody, getting a lot of damage onto XU as well. They've got the root onto Chad, but here's the Shurima Shuffle on Joey and only Joey. Not actually going to be able to get anything further. It's just going to be the trade jungle for jungle with the Eye going over to Dignitas.
Concept, he is the Singed player. He had it calculated. He said, you know what? We're going to trade this out. I feel like I can ground the jungler of Dig, end up having a 1-for-1 on the side of Immortals, but favor still goes to Dignitas. They were the ones that were first on the play, first on the rotation. They got the Rift Herald. That 1-for-1 is for naught. Up 1k gold with Shelly in their back pockets. They can do a lot more.
Looked a little dicey at first. When we look at this replay, you can see the blast going over, maybe worried for Concept, but like you said, it's that grounded effect onto XU that saves the day.
And XU just wasn't able to get a kickoff. That's really the difference in that fight. If he's able to get a kick, maybe knock a few people up, put that damage on the multiple individuals of IMT, maybe Dig can look for the turn, but that was not the case. End up coming up short. And as we get back out onto the map, we're going to have to see where Shelly ends up getting dropped. If you're going into a Victor, I always prefer when Shelly's drop mid. It's so difficult to take turrets against a Victor. I think it's really important that Dignitas opens up that mid lane if they want to try and use their displacement to get the backline of IMT in their hands.
Completely agree. Victor is one of those champions. There's a reason why we see him and Corki played so many times. Spawn had to flash away, was able to get a little bit of distance with the 90 caliber net. Now Chad's in a lot of trouble. He's taken down, but look at the damage coming in from Arrow. They turn it around again. Jungle traded for jungle.
It was a good read from XU, but Arrow really far ahead at the moment as he's up a few waves. Now, gets granted that assist money. Unfortunately, the kill going over to Joey, not ideal, but the back and forth continues from these teams as JJ.
Nice sidestep from Arrow, but he does get rooted by the auto tech. Depth charge on top of him as well, but look at how much damage JJ took just for stepping forward.
Spawn can't step up. Too low, no flash. I think rightfully respecting the power of Arrow's Aphelios at this point of the game.
This is where we have to even talk about the fact that, we mentioned it before in the previous game, but the trough that Caitlyn faces, just don't have that damage to really actually fight against Arrow, especially when he's able to just trade like that.
And both games, Caitlyn has not been able to receive plates. Now, last game, we did see XU throw that Rift Herald in the mid lane and have that pick up a few plates. I think that maybe by going bot, if they did end up getting kills on Immortals, that would have been Shelly going down and first brick over to the Caitlyn to try and free her up and rotate her around the map. But important that IMT was able to play defense there, as that keeps the Caitlyn stuck bot lane. And Arrow and Joey, props to them, are getting the best of that matchup in this game.
They did previously as well. Even though JJ was able to... JJ was able to roam around, but you can see that's a good pick attempted onto XU. Not going to actually net anything, though. He was able to survive, hold on to his flash.
This is a better... I know that Immortals doesn't come out with anything there, but I think it's a better moment from them, as Joey's fishing at the right times. XU, no ult. JJ, no ult. They would understand that, having it be the first play on the map, considering both were just burned in the bot lane. And they had numbers, as they saw a spawn on the bot wave. So even though it doesn't come up for anything, that's a better look for Immortals compared to what we saw last game, where they were opting into a 4v5 and Dignitas' side of the jungle.
As the Rift Herald gets spawned mid lane, right as the dragon had spawned, exactly, and it's the fact that they're using that mid lane as you had wanted to see, Cubby. Try to see if they can get that, but you can see there's a fight attempted on the other side. They're going to be able to disengage onto Joey, but he's got the Spider-Man from JJ to try to survive. A lot of damage on top of him. Chaos Storm now burning, ticking down. The Ignite kill for Joey.
And because of the bot lane lead for IMT, Spawn can't rotate. It's Arrow who is there and not the Caitlyn. And that's why the play comes up in Immortals' favor yet again, as they take the kill. Will now take the dragon.
Second dragon of the game, starting off very similar to how the previous game went for Immortals. But I'd say it's an even better look for them in this one. not having to worry about too much what's happening in the side lanes because you don't have to worry about Eclipse eventually becoming the scary threat of a bruiser who can dive your back line, as well as mid lane. Pretty, even if he died earlier onto that gank, has been having a far more successful time into Darkwings.
It's a nice kick from XU. I think cleverly cancels that Zenith Blade from Joey. But Pretty just able to rotate. Spawn still stuck on the wave. It's really the difference. As I like seeing IMT. I know that speaking with Joey, they said, you know what? We won 0-4. That's not the week that we want to have. We feel like we did make some improvements. And I know that game 1 didn't go Immortals' way, but good to see some better looks from them in this one as they're doing a good job of playing more as a unit.
You can see how that's working for them. Concept's on his island, as per usual, but it's more successful for the team. It's denying a lot from Eclipse, and then seeing how everyone's trying to follow up from Joey and Arrow in the bot lane, playing far more around the bot lane. We had talked about before that they attempted a couple ganks in the previous game, but honestly, this is what we need to see. Far more utilizing that Arrow on this Aphelios is going to be your win condition.
And not only is it the Aphelios, but also the Victor. And this has been the real power pairing for IMT. Victor and these big backline lethal tempo ADs. I know that Arrow has primarily played Jinx so far this season, as he is 3-3 on that champion. That was the pairing for most of week 1 as they found their wins. And the scaling for Immortals this game, both teams do scale reasonably well, but I really favor the Victor. And as long as Aphelios is able to get in range and interact with the side of Dignitas, should be good to go. So let's see if Dig can be really careful about where they pick their moments around this Aphelios. I think it's something they did very well in Game 1. Game 2, going up against the Victor, going to get a little bit harder.
At least for a bit. When you have that Gragas, when you have that
for the rest of the
Lee Sin,
game.
well, the thing is, once Gragas is there, if you can actually have a really good explosive cask, there's a good opportunity for you to punish any positioning from Arrow, even if he positions perfectly. A good flank from Eclipse can completely turn the tides of a fight.
And this is Eclipse's 3rd Gragas game of the season. Thinking back specifically to Game 1 against C9 last week, the Gragas was fantastic in that one, as both junglers are now bot. We have to shift our focus there. XU is spotted. See if anything happens.
The turret was taken mid lane by Darkwings, but I'm just waiting for this fight. They are just waiting this out. Chad, they have no idea. They then engage onto XU, and the TP behind. They already got the kill onto XU before it's completed, but Arrow taken down by the ace in the hole. Spawn flashing away. Here's Pretty, though, on the hunt. He's got damage, then the storm is a brew, and on top of his face for a kill for Pretty.
JJ will be hunted down as well, and the extra info from Immortals used very nicely here.
Nice from Chad with that flash knock-up to make sure there was no escape from JJ.
Immortals much needed, as they did lose their mid turret, but the response from Pretty, this will grant Arrow so much gold on the... Oh, I guess Arrow's dead. Yeah, it's going to grant Pretty a lot of gold. Yeah.
Hey, I was about to say, I think that's a big win. Even though Arrow dies in this fight, the fact that Pretty gets these kills with that TP play in is a huge swing.
Look at the extra info. Chad just waiting for XG to make a move. Immortals had plenty of time to plan this out. And this is what we want to see from Immortals. Them playing as a team. Them waiting for XG to walk into this brush and then executing the play from here as a squad. Much improved compared to the last week and the last game.
I do like the attempt from Dignitas to kill Arrow that entire time while they lost XU. At least it's, it's the consolation prize, what you're gaining back. But the fact that Pretty was the one who received 2 of these kills is going to be detrimental for the successes of Dignitas further.
Pretty coming out of base, too, has a Sheen and a Fiendish Codex as Dignitas off the back half of that bot play will be picking up the 2nd Rift Herald for themselves. They have already broken that mid-outer against Victor with the help of Shelly. Something that is not easy to do. Dignitas, though, has done that and have rotated their bot lane up top to try and take this turret, which they will do successfully.
But here's Concept. Concept on his island.
JJ's
People
dead.
are joining his island, and he's saying why you shouldn't ever come near him and chasing them down for Arrow to get his first kill.
A bit of an oops from Dig as they overextend for that turret. Good punish from Immortals. And this is significant because going into this next Dragon now, Mad Magical, if IMT want to rotate their power down to this bot side, they will have a numbers advantage as JJ is going to be late to this rotation. And that could be sole point for the side of IMT.
I don't even see a way Dignitas can realistically fight back. They have double TPs out of Eclipse and Darkwings, but with Concept having his TP as well, it's going to make it so they can easily flank him around and use him to catch someone like Spawn or Darkwings out of position.
Big pause. Concept. TP to the bot side. The setup for Immortals trying to go for a pincer. Spawn is late. JJ didn't make it here in time. XU trying to show on this bot lane, but the Tribrush is spotted.
Might fight. XU's now inside of the pit. He's got to be cautious, though. They're trying to turn their attention over to him. Could be the re-engage. Chad's not going to get the smite. He's going to go over to XU, and he's going to lose his own life for it. Too little, too late out of Immortals. Now the fight re-engage. Nice flash away, though, from Pretty. They got the stun onto JJ as well. The effect coming in from Concept. They've got enough damage on top of him. There's going to be Eclipse 2 flashing away, but taken down by Pretty all the same. And with 3 members on each side trying to fight and battle over the river, it'll be both of them finally disengaging.
Huge for Dig, though. They deny the Dragon and also come out even on the team fight, even trading up. The fact that JJ dropped, they traded top support for top jungle. XU also is gonna be able to pick up this mid inner off the back of that. And I love the engage from Dignitas and that force from Eclipse, forcing the flash out of Pretty. This now gives Dig a target to focus on. We talked about the displacement. Flash is being down on the big carries of IMT. I want to see Dig hit this window hard. I think they can make something happen before those flashes get back up in the next minute and a half.
And for Dignitas, these are huge wins, as you were saying. The fact that they get the flash off of Pretty, like you talked about. They get the turret, like in mid lane, like you talked about. But also denying the soul from Immortals. At least the soul point potential is going to be a big thing to continue to delay this game so that Spawn can complete some of these items. They can get more damage onto Darkwings as well, as he's got himself already that Banshee's Veil available.
And Spawn, different game, different texture coming out of his build. Looks like the rapid fire cannon potentially second. Ooh, actually, that's a longsword. I'm curious what Spawn ends up opting for here, as maybe we see Stormbreaker second.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking Storm Razors. That is going to be the second item.
There it is. I found the word.
Get the slow as well to make sure you can kite back a little bit more successfully. But we'll have to see. We'll see what gets completed there from Spawn momentarily. So at the moment, Dignitas have a lot of information. I talked about the espionage, the spies going into enemy territory. XU has done a good job, and so has JJ, in securing a lot of control on this bottom half of the map. All
right, man, Magical. I got something that I think you're going to like talking about. We got some dark tech coming out from Concept. Imperial Mandate Singed.
Oh, you don't... That's the tech, man. That's the tech.
Someone's been watching a lot of lolmath.net.
That is the tech. I'm telling you right now. People underestimate how important Imperial Mandate is.
So this combined with Rylai's means that anyone that's poisoned from Concept will have this debuff on them, as we see now from Eclipse and Concept. This does make him rather powerful in the 1v1 and a lot more useful in team fights if he has teammates around him as Eclipse.
The only thing is Eclipse is a fairly tanky
on his own.
With the help of that Turbo Chem tank. It is still only Concept, though, fighting him. All the while, with members spotted out, that vision control from Dignitas has allowed them to know that they can easily go onto the Baron. So much has been used, try to kill Eclipse here. They might be able to successfully kill him for Pretty, but now they have to turn and see if they can deny the Baron going over.
Dignitas, they are down to send it, but TPs are coming in. Can they take this down in time?
It's only Pretty, though. Concept can't TP. It doesn't have that in time. It's going to be low, but it's going to be the peel back in with the Solar Flare coming in from Joey. He re-engages with the Zenith Blade, but he takes a lot of damage coming in from Darkwings that entire time. Knocked up in the air by the depth charge, but he's kept alive by Chad. Nice body block from the teammate, denying that Baron Hail Mary.
I like the attempt and the thought from Dignitas, but I love the patience from Immortals even more. Forcing them off that Baron, they gain so much priority off the play. Not only do they get that kill in the bot lane, but now Concept killing a lot of minion waves into that bot outer turret, which he should be able to take for himself. And Immortals now can respond and make a play on the Rift as Dignitas forced to reset.
Plus, enough time has been bided by Immortals. The TP is up for Concept. If they want to turn for this and force a fight out of Dignitas around the Baron, they can always fall back on Concept's flanks.
And more importantly, Arrow's flash as well. That window where Pretty and Arrow didn't have flash up on the side of Dignitas. Eclipse getting chased down in the bot lane removed the ability for Dig to try and make a team play to punish that. So they only have about a 45-second window before Pretty's flash is up. I really want to see if they fish, as the Ocean Dragon is spawning rather soon. If they are able to catch Pretty out, that could be the opportunity Dignitas could look for to get a pick, take the Dragon, and snowball it into even more.
And they are setting up around that Dragon. They've sent back XU and JJ on that mission to consistently get information on Immortals. Taking away a couple of the camps, too, from Chad. Gonna help them out, but it's only 25 seconds until that dragon spawns, and Immortals, they're back on the map ready to fight.
Look at how careful Pretty is playing as well. Has Chad with him, just got out the other brush, and now Joey is looking for the Hex Flash. Will not be it. Pretty, no flash still.
Stunned up by Joey.
Beauty.
They tried to attempt that. They got the flip on XU, the flash away, so he's not going to be able to re-engage. It's going to be Chad on top of him on the other side, fighting against Eclipse this entire time. Do 1v2 while the rest of the team takes care of the other 3 members, but they got to be careful. Chad is low. That's the ace in the hole, body blocked by Joey.
Dig went out on the health trade, and props to XU. We talked about Pretty's flash. The combo got stopped by Joey. Good positioning on his part, but it was enough to force a fight where Dignitas magically won due to the positioning and got a few other summoner spells out. They got both sums out of Arrow.
Yeah, getting those summoners that you had talked about, that had just come up for Arrow as well. Making sure both of those are gone. They deny the soul, and we take a look at this replay.
Pretty's flash not up. It's really close. And XU was trying to go for that combo with Darkwings, not able to find it. And now I want to see how Arrow lost both of his sums. He had to flash early in the fight and then ended up healing to try and save his teammate. Oh, man, that's pretty big. This gives Dignitas another target to go after as they want to force a fight now.
We go right back in. Joey's the one that they have locked down.
Yeah, he's
barely tanky, but he's just going to give up his life. He knows that it's all about biding as much time as humanly possible. That way you can deny any sort of Baron take for the side of Dignitas. Finally falls, they give over the kill and shutdown to spawn.
I want to see if Dignitas forces this, as they do have the Azir plus Caitlyn combo. These Baron setups, especially on blue side, rather deadly. As you can see, the traps coming out. They should get mid-prio here, and now is their window to look.
They're pinging onto Arrow. They, like you, spotted out all the
Arrow
sums are down. And so if they can get that pick onto Arrow, that's going to be huge for them. They've decided to start up the Baron.
Look out for Darkwings. He has the flash and the scoop. If he can find Arrow and Dignitas combo, they will smash this fight.
50% on the Baron. They're sending out Concept. Pretty try to see if he can step a little bit far forward too, but it's going to be the trap to deny. Concept's going in. They got the pull coming in. Chad, though, stealing away the Burger Flip. Burger King himself. Chad looking huge as they got the kill onto JJ as well. Darkwing still in the pit, but Immortals, they needed Chad to show up, and there he goes with the smite.
Chad is looking to stop the slide of Immortals as he slides into the pit, takes the Baron, takes everything that Dignitas worked so hard to set themselves up for. And now this game just got so much harder for the side of Dig as Pretty almost at 2.5 items and moving on forward. Immortals have this Baron buff where they can take all the standing gold for themselves. And just like that, the flip from Dignitas does not pay off. This game just got turned on its head.
They needed to peel back and see if they can force out Chad from the pit. But Chad, like you said, stealthily sliding right into the pit to steal that away has netted them so much control over the map that they had never had this entire time. It's all been Dignitas controlling the vision in the jungle as they're now letting these minions do the work onto this outer turret in the bot lane.
It's still Arrow with no sums. That has to be where Dignitas attacks. So Dignitas have ways to make plays. I think they really have to make sure they get the flashes out of the carries of Immortals and then go from there. But let's take a second look as XU just not able to keep Chad out of the pit. They went for the flip, and
he doesn't have smite.
Buffer.
He doesn't have smite either.
The buffer from Chad was so good, and the kick was just late.
No, XU didn't have smite either during that entire time, Cubby.
I think he had smite. I think it was a spectator bug.
Was it? Because it looked, I was like, I don't know. That it just, maybe it wasn't, maybe it wasn't. We'd have to look back at the tapes because that's just tragic either way. Like you said,
if he didn't have smite and they went for that flip, then Dignitas deserved to lose. I'll leave it at that.
I mean, you're not wrong. That's why I'm like, why? That's why I think they should have peeled back anyways.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think that actually had it. Might have just been a spectator bug, but regardless, that buffer into the slide from Chad was beautiful.
It was. And now it's allowed them all the control in the world. Though Chad getting caught out a little bit too far. He's got a shield and Cataclysm onto JJ. Go looking for a 1-for-1 at the moment. Not getting anything further, but they have the advantage here. 3 versus 4 with Eclipse on the other side. Concept wants that flip on spawn, but he's now bounced around. Here's Joey into the back line as well. They're going to be able to take the turret the entire time. It's XU now. He's going to be the focus for Concept to be able to get the poison onto him as well. Just hitting him once. Poison burning. The heal barely keeping him alive.
Level and red buff is enough for XU, but the damage is done. The trade is in, and Immortals get the top inhibitor.
Getting that as well. They have minions in mid lane. Concept is there, but it's going to be Eclipse eating the wave, so they can't take more.
And Immortals gonna take the full reset. Dignitas, do they try and contest for this dragon? As their base, they have to recover, somewhat in shambles. But this dragon, I think importantly for Immortals, they did all this in the window that Arrow had flashed down. Now Arrow has flash up with Pretty, and this is where this fight for Dignitas gets so difficult, because if their engage isn't perfect, they will get melted by the Victor, who just completed Void Staff.
Right now, we have Immortals setting up around the bottom half of the map. They're trying to see if they can get control over the dragon. 15 seconds until the next Ocean Dragon will spawn. The fact that they have the inside track of this bottom half of the map, look at the vision they have on the top half as well. Clips might have TP, but he's got no real good wards to go to.
Oh, XU.
Concept is going to be the target. Concept, though, he's still alive. How do you kill him? Ace in the hole. It will finish him off. There's a 1-for-1, though. XU next door. Double kill coming in from Arrow.
Pretty.
With the fight onto Pretty on the other side. He's got knocked back into the pit, looking for the fight coming in from Eclipse, but it's not enough to be able to take him down. He's got the laser pointed damage to scare off the tank of Dignitas.
That was a good read from XU, as I know it's not a favorable trade for Dig, but at least they're taking summoner spells away from the side of Immortals. That's what Dignitas needs to do before they can find those favorable fights and angles. So Pretty, no flash, does have the stopwatch. Really going to have to see if Pretty can utilize that at the right time to prevent the displacement from Dig, because we saw what they can do there.
Now, Chad, onto the Dragon. Should be able to take that one for free. No answer going to come in. They will be on soul point, and we can take a look at this replay. It's a nice attempt on the concept, but how much do they burn to get this?
It's where Dignitas is kind of relegated to, as they have been outscaled at this point. This Victor doing a bazillion damage in the backline, and I really want to credit Eclipse for finding that angle onto Pretty. Him dropping the flash is a big deal, and that has to be the biggest point of emphasis in the Dignitas comms right now. How can we find an angle onto this Victor? That is the problem they're facing. IMT is playing this rather well with Joey in the front line, just having that stun for anyone that goes in on Dignitas. But Eclipse has flash. Pretty does not. If Eclipse is able to dash and flash, get the combo onto Pretty, and they can eliminate him before he stopwatches, that is how Dignitas can win the next fight.
But just like he had previously in the fight where he even had the flash available, Pretty is positioning far behind his tanks, making sure it's Joey, Chad, Concept far away ahead of him. So it's really difficult to actually get near to this Victor.
And Immortals, all the sins they made in the mid-game last game, credit to them. They have patched a lot of that up with a similar comp.
Don't cast your curse them, Covey.
I'm not. I'm just saying, they still have to put this one away. And they, on the 5-game slide, this would mean a lot to the team to be able to stop that, pick up a 1-1, as they just have one more step to take. They're putting the finishing touches on this one.
They need to stop this slide, the 5-game loss streak that they are on after starting off so hot in week 1. This would be a great look for them. Been looking at really good. Pretty, Arrow, these carries looking massive on the side of Immortals with a great frontline tool out of Concept, Chad, and Joey.
The Baron?
They can go onto the Baron. Wait a minute. They're burning this
melting.
fast. XU, it's your turn. Your turn to steal this away, but he's going into the pit a little early.
Chad.
The fight's on the other side. Concept knocked away. They've got Chad this
Arrow.
entire time, but they got the kill coming in from Arrow. JJ's going to go golden, but it's only going to be
Arrow.
denying the inevitability of a triple kill for Arrow. XU still wants to steal it away, but Immortals don't even need it anymore. They've got the flip onto Eclipse to deny him going back to his base, and they're pinging for the base.
Joey said that this is the first strong side marksman he's played for, and he's absolutely been in love. And guess what? The LCK champ and former LCS MVP, he is here. Arrow, huge team fight from him as IMT put the pieces together around this Victor comp and managed to stop the slide, take this game for themselves.
Well, it's not over yet. You've got to have the hero plays out of Dignitas denied if you want to make sure you get this game. With the kill on XU, you sure as hell are going to be able to do that. Even with the flip onto Concept, coming in onto Eclipse, they've got this game in the bag. They've stopped the slide. One more fight on the other side. Finish the damn game, Immortals, so you don't lose here.
Over.
There they go. They got Pretty on top of it, and they will take game 2.
Okay. I was sweating there for a second, man, Magical. I'll be honest. That depth charge from JJ, that had me jumping out of my seats a little bit, but fortunately for Immortals, just enough HP on their carries to make sure they got the Nexus. And hey, congrats. I know that this slide, as Joey said, he felt like it did them a favor. He felt like they were able to play more compositions going into this week. Now, that victor was what was giving them all the success in week 1, I should say. But hey, returning to that was a good look for IMT. That late game from Pretty and Arrow, these two guys are monster team fighters on these immobile carries, and they really showed why they are such highly valued by the Immortals roster, their teammates, the staff, as they managed to make it happen in that game too.
And you see even the argument that their teammates are making for them to deserve a spot in LCS, how great they played this game. The victor has definitely been Pretty's best champion. You talked about week 1, how he played that in all his games. 4-0 on the champion. It is a great look for the side of Immortals. And we got to see this continue. It's one of the problems that I had initially with Immortals. I talked about the Viego for Chad, how they had gotten all their victories when he was on that. With Pretty on this victor, we still need to see more looks out of him. But this is a great start.
Yeah, I think between that, Chad also had some nice moments in that game. And the game 1 plan from Immortals, it wasn't bad. It was a good plan. But they needed to be able to make it happen throughout the entire game. And that wasn't what happened in game 1. Dignitas had some nice counter punches, but this time, Immortals, they punch back, and they get the split.
They get the split, 1 apiece. Stop that loss streak as well. Not going to be 6 games in a row that they lose. And so we're going to toss it to a break so we can get an interview all ready with Mazel. So make sure you stick around.